this point in time?
Well, you've got a lot of excitement, especially the first-time flyers, because they've trained for years for this, and now they're getting ready to go.
And there's like 4 of them on this flight, 3 or 4.
That's right, that's right. But they've been training a long time. They're ready to go, and they're focused. They got their game face on now, and they're ready to do it.
I was going to say, you're at that point where you absolutely have to focus.
That's right.
And everything else is out of your mind. We're going to listen to NASA commentary now, under 30 seconds now, to the liftoff of the shuttle Endeavour.
Occurred.
Start.
25. 20.
SRB nozzle gimbal check. Arming the firing chain now. Sound suppression water system is armed. Range safety systems armed. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And liftoff of Endeavour, going where east and west do meet at the International Space Station.
Houston now controlling.
Houston Endeavour, roll program.
Roger, roll, Endeavour.
The roll maneuver is complete. Endeavour is in a heads-down position on course for a 51.6 degree, 136 by 36 statute-mile orbit. The Florida coast gets an early sunrise as Endeavour heads out on a course to intercept the International Space Station in a day and a half.
We lost it there,
There's
Jeff.
those clouds.
In those low clouds.
Yeah.
That you can see it, of course, on the television monitors, and we're looking there now. You're looking down at the vehicle there, right?
That's right. This is on a camera mounted on the external tank, looking back toward the aft end of the vehicle.
Everything's going smoothly now.
Everything's going great.
There's no action on the left RCS messages.
So the next major milestone here that we'll be coming to is about 2 minutes and 5 seconds in.
That's right. 2 minutes and 5 seconds after launch, the solid rocket boosters will burn out and they'll be separated. And the crew inside will see a big flash in the windows and feel an explosion as those things are fired away.
Now, what are you feeling right now at that liftoff? I know they say you don't really experience as many G's as a fighter pilot does, but a little bit of shaking and rattling?
It's a lot of shaking, especially on the solid rocket boosters, and that will continue for that 2 minutes and 5 seconds. After that, it will be very smooth.
Right, we've had no issues to report. The NASA's saying everything is going along smoothly on the vehicle.
Everything is nominal right now.
So any
with at 104% of rated thrust. Coming up on
at this point now, there is still nothing that anyone can do until you're off those boosters. You're strapped to the boosters.
That's right. You're just going along for the ride.
There's no way that until those boosters are off that you can maneuver the vehicle if you had some sort of an emergency.
Right, right.
And we're seeing the booster separation now.
There goes the solid rocket booster. You can see one of them trailing away there. The other one's masked by the orbiter itself.
That's a spectacular shot as those boosters fall away.
Booster separation.
We were hearing that it takes 7 minutes for those boosters to come back to the water, where of course they're recovered by the recovery ships.
Right. Well, they free fall for a long while, and then they have parachutes in their nose cones, and those parachutes open, and they come down under parachute.
And about the time that those two solid rocket boosters are hitting the water is about the same time, a little earlier probably, than when we're going to have main engine cutoff.
That's right. And after which time they're going 17,500 miles in orbital velocity.
And at that point, you're on your way to orbit.
You're on your way to orbit. That's right. They will do one more orbital adjustment burn about a half an hour or 40 minutes or so after that point, just to circularize the orbit, but they're in orbit at that point.
And at this point, if something should go wrong with one of the 3 main engines, you can make it to one of those transatlantic abort sites.
That's right. That's right. We have the capability to do a return to launch site the first 4 minutes or so, a little over 4 minutes. At this point where they are now, they also have an option to do, as you say, a transatlantic abort over to Spain.
And we're getting to the point now where you're about closing out your window for coming back here. You'd be pretty much going to
That's right. That's right.
But everything is moving smoothly. No issues on the vehicle.
That's right.
Right now, then, the astronauts still. What are you doing?
Well, they're monitoring the systems. The ascent is automatic, but there are a lot of things to monitor. The guidance of the vehicle, making sure that it's going in the right direction. All of the systems, the electrical power systems, the hydraulic systems, the thermal control systems, the environmental control, you're monitoring that. Make sure everything's in order.
We just had negative return, so that means not coming back here.
That means they no longer have the option to do a return to launch site abort, but they still have the option, of course, to do that transatlantic abort.
We can see again on the replays of the launch already that it was spectacular. Although I think the TV viewers got a better view of it than we did when it went through that cloud ceiling. We lost it.
We lost it. That's right.
But it was certainly spectacular until that particular point going up.
Every launch is spectacular, but in particular a night launch.
A night launch. And we were told you might be able to see this as far north as Atlanta, Georgia, and I know down south in Miami you can see this, and
that's right.
Quite a ways up and down the east coast of the United States when you get these night launches. You know what was curious to us earlier today, we were talking about 5 spacewalks on this one, and the 12 days. That's got to be. I know Rick Linehan, who's going to do the first 3 spacewalks. Quite a bit of stress, right? When you're doing all that.
It's a lot of work. It's an objective that's beyond what we've done in the past, but they can do it. We're learning as we go that we can do with the preparations, continuing the development and preparations, that we can do a little bit more, and we really need to. There's a lot of work to be done to get the space station put together and complete it in the next couple of years.
Yeah, there's only 12 flights left, including this one. One of those flights, of course, is the Hubble repair mission coming up later this year.
That's right.
Second mission this year of 6 planned. So very ambitious the next 2 years.
It is very ambitious to complete this wonderful international platform that we're going to have in orbit.
We always have this helicopter come in right about 6 minutes in as he lands here at the launch site. We're coming up at about 2 minutes now to main engine cutoff, I would think, looking at the clock back there. So Zaragoza now, I guess, if you had to go to Zaragoza.
Right, and they can make it there on 1 engine if 2 engines were to fail. So
and that's the TAL site over in Spain, the transatlantic landing site in Spain.
That's right.
If they had to go there.
That's right.
But
now as we go, the vehicle's getting lighter and the G's are building up. When it gets to about 7.5 minutes after liftoff, the G's will have reached 3, and then the throttles of the main engines will start working their way down to maintain 3 G's all the way to the 8.5 minutes until main engine cutoff.
Once we get that main engine cutoff and that external tank is now off of the vehicle, as we were saying, you're going to orbit at that point.
That's right. You're in orbit at that point.
And it's 17,500 miles an hour.
17,500 miles an hour, traveling around the Earth every 90 minutes.
Single engine press.
That means that they can get to orbit, even though it might be a little bit lower orbit, but they can reach orbit on one engine if 2 of those engines were to fail.
We were laughing a little bit earlier today as we're waiting here for main engine cutoff that some of the meals that they had before they went out to the launch pad, there were 2 with steaks, a couple with shrimp salads, a hamburger. It was wondering about a steak before you lift off.
Well, that might have been on their menu, but I wonder if they completed.
I don't know.
That.
Jeff Linehan, or Rick Linehan ordered a steak.
Did he?
Yeah, he did, according to the menu.
I know most of us will order our food, but we don't clean our plate. You know,
I was going to ask you about that.
There's a strategy, with that. You don't want to have your stomach too full.
Yeah, not too full when you're flying. That's for
right.
sure. And the time you spend when you're on the International Space Station, when a space shuttle goes up there, it must be pretty nice to have some company.
It's great. The first shuttle came for us after we were on the space station for 3 months. So it was Pavel Vinogradov, my Russian crewmate, and me for 3 months. Hadn't seen anybody. They came on board. We were pretty excited to see them. Of course, they're all our friends. They spent 8 days docked, and I say it's kind of like when your extended relatives come to visit for the holidays. It's a great day when they arrive, but it's also a good day when they leave, because they absolutely trashed the place.
You've got a lot of cleanup to do. Main engine cutoff just confirmed, awaiting separation.
So they're in orbit now, and in a few seconds, there it goes. The external tank is commanded to be separated from the orbiter.
From the orbiter. We'll see that in a second here.
There it goes.
And there it goes.
And we're seeing the plumes from jet firings as the orbiter separates from the tank, as well as residual hydrogen and oxygen being burnt out of the main engines in the back of the orbiter.
Well, that's it. The last of the major milestones before you now a couple of days and you head up to the International Space Station for a docking.
And there are plenty of milestones in front of them.
Plenty of them to go.
Yeah.
Jeff, thank you so much for being here with us. And Max, a successful launch this morning here at the Kennedy Space Center. Endeavour on its way to a rendezvous with the International Space Station. 16-day mission, returning here to the Kennedy Space Center on the 26th of March. Max?
And good luck to you then. Thank you very much indeed for joining us from Florida, John Zarello. We will be monitoring that trip, of course, through the next couple of weeks or so.